character in the forefront, The Last of Us. I don't know why they cast, like, it seems like a lot of people do not like Bella Ramsey.
Gotta be a dad.
Yeah.
To the point where she even says that she's stupid. Why? That just kind of betrays the character. Yeah, she's supposed to be, like, reckless and everything, but that doesn't mean that she's some, like, lobotomite.
But, like, for the most part, that's the way it is. And so you don't want to look weird or ugly or anything like that. I mean, people just don't want to look at that for movies. It's really that simple.
Bella Ramsey's performance in The Last of Us wasn't just well received, it was celebrated. As Ellie, she delivered a deeply emotional portrayal that helped define one of HBO's most successful modern series. Critics praised her authenticity. Fans connected with her vulnerability. For a time, she became the face of a franchise that felt unstoppable. But then, something changed. Without any official announcement or farewell, Bella quietly disappeared from the spotlight. Promotional materials began to shift. Interviews stopped. Mentions of her role started vanishing from official sources. And just as subtly, a new name began to surface, Rachel Ziegler. What followed wasn't a wave of outrage or media frenzy, it was silence. No headlines, no explanations, just a quiet transition that left fans and industry watchers alike asking, what really happened? Was this a creative change? A secretive reboot? Or was there something more strategic happening behind the scenes? This video dives deep into Bella Ramsey's sudden disappearance from the Last of Us franchise and the rising speculation surrounding HBO's new direction. From rumored internal decisions to fan reactions and industry chatter, the full story may not be what you expect. And if you haven't been paying attention, you may have missed just how quietly it all unfolded.
I've been asking everyone to do the clicker noise, but everyone was like, Bella does it the best.
I do.
When HBO first cast Bella Ramsey as Ellie, the internet nearly imploded. It was a bold choice, a risky move, but one that quickly silenced every doubt. Bella's performance in Season 1 of The Last of Us was nothing short of breathtaking. Raw, guttural, unapologetic. She wasn't imitating Ellie, she was Ellie. Audiences cried with her, rooted for her, and hung on every flicker of emotion she conveyed. She didn't just play a character, she became a cultural lightning rod. The media hailed her as a breakout star. Critics praised her emotional depth. Headlines declared her the future of prestige television. Even Neil Druckmann, the franchise's creator, publicly championed her performance, calling it fearless and transformative. For a moment, it seemed like Bella could do no wrong. But as talk of Season 2 began to emerge, a subtle shift occurred. Ellie's character was now meant to be older, shaped by grief, hardened by time and tragedy. And yet, to many fans, something felt off. Despite the passage of time within the story, Bella's portrayal still felt eerily similar to Season 1. The emotional resonance remained, but the evolution fans expected didn't. What began as whispered concerns soon grew louder in forums and fan circles. The question hanging in the air, could Bella carry this new phase of Ellie's journey?
Because Ellie still looks and acts like a 14-year-old from Season 1, even though she's supposed to be 19.
And that disconnect, however unfair, landed squarely on Bella's shoulders. Audiences didn't just question the writing, they turned on the performance. Suddenly, fan forums were flooded with criticism. She's too young. She hasn't aged. This just doesn't feel right. The emotional complexity that once defined her portrayal was no longer praised. It was picked apart, memes, and dissected into oblivion. What began as widespread admiration slowly curdled into harsh scrutiny. Bella herself hadn't changed, but the perception around her had. And in Hollywood, perception is everything. The same actress who once lit up the spotlight now found herself caught in the crosshairs, and she had no idea what was coming next. Season 2 was supposed to elevate everything. Higher stakes, deeper trauma, bolder risks. But instead of applause, HBO walked straight into a digital firestorm, with Bella Ramsey at its center. The backlash didn't trickle in. It hit like a wave. Reddit threads exploded. YouTube creators dissected every frame. Twitter trended with hashtags like #NotMyEllie and #FixTheCasting. Even casual viewers started to question, why did Ellie, now 5 years older in the story, still look, sound, and feel like the same girl from before? It wasn't just about appearance. Fans pointed to recycled emotional beats, stunted growth, and an arc that felt undermined. Critics tried to defend the creative direction, but the internet had already made up its mind. And Bella, she became the lightning rod for all of it. Some called it unfair, others said it was inevitable. But either way, the damage was done. Suddenly, Bella Ramsey's name was no longer linked to groundbreaking or brilliant. Instead, it was wrapped in controversy. And HBO panicked. They rolled out the usual damage control playbook. Bella was booked on talk shows. Articles praising her emotional bravery flooded the press. Behind-the-scenes clips were released to highlight her dedication. But fans saw through it. They called it spin, manipulation, fake. And through it all, Bella stayed professional. She smiled. She promoted. She showed up, again and again. Even as the storm raged around her, she kept playing her part. What she didn't know was that deep inside HBO headquarters, conversations were already happening. Quiet ones, strategic ones, conversations that would change everything. She didn't know, because they didn't include her. In Hollywood, once the tide of public opinion starts to turn, studios don't wait around to see how it ends. They prepare backup plans. And Bella was no longer part of theirs. While Bella Ramsey stood proudly in the spotlight, unknowingly defending a role that was already slipping away, HBO was working behind the scenes. Quiet meetings, closed-door discussions, and in those secret circles, one name began to surface: Rachel Ziegler. To the public, she was the breakout star of West Side Story, a rising Hollywood darling with vocal range and red carpet polish. But behind closed doors, Ziegler was something else entirely, a wildcard solution. Older, edgier, free from controversy, and most importantly, untouched by the backlash. Insiders now claim that as early as mid-development, HBO had already begun exploring Ziegler as a contingency plan. But this wasn't your standard casting process. There were no public auditions, no press leaks, no casting announcements. This was a covert operation. Rachel's name was quietly bumped to the top of internal shortlists. Audition tapes were reviewed behind closed doors. Executive preferences were whispered, never written. And through it all, Bella was kept completely in the dark. She was still reposting fan art, still answering questions about Ellie's future, still believing she was part of the story, because no one told her otherwise. She wasn't just playing Ellie, she was Ellie, until she wasn't. What made it all colder was the silence. Rachel Ziegler's alleged casting wasn't announced, it was hidden. No press release, no goodbye post, no farewell tour, just silence. By the time industry whispers leaked, it was already too late. One insider even claims Bella's own agent didn't know until after Rachel had signed a confidentiality agreement. The erasure had already begun. Bella's name quietly vanished from internal schedules. Promo graphics stopped including her. Key production meetings no longer involved her team. But still, she kept showing up, answering press questions, sharing behind-the-scenes memories, liking fan theories about Season 3. To the outside world, she was still in. But inside HBO, she was already out. There was no warning, no final script, no emotional send-off, just a subtle shift, and then, silence. Her once lively social media presence, once filled with The Last of Us content, went dark almost overnight. Then, slowly, everything began to dim. No more fan edits, no more interviews, no more cryptic hints about Ellie's future. And then came the digital cleanup. HBO unfollowed her. Showrunner Neil Druckmann? Gone. Pedro Pascal? Gone. Even beloved fan selfies? Deleted. No explanation. No comment. What replaced the noise was something even louder: silence. But silence can be a statement. And Bella's quiet retreat didn't go unnoticed. Fans began to ask questions. Reddit threads erupted with theories about secret firings. Twitter lit up with conspiracies. And then, the post. Loyalty doesn't mean silence. And betrayal doesn't always come with a warning. No names. No context. But everyone knew exactly who it was aimed at. HBO said nothing. Bella gave no official statement. But behind the polished quiet was a girl who had given everything to a role, and was now left with nothing. The door didn't just close behind her. It was sealed. And what came next made the silence deafening. The internet doesn't stay quiet for long. Bella Ramsey's sudden disappearance from the Last of Us universe was too loud to ignore. At first, fans thought it was just a break. Maybe burnout. Maybe privacy. But then came the signs. Ellie-related posts vanished. Captions were rewritten. She unfollowed former co-stars. This wasn't just distancing, it was cleansing. And when Bella finally returned to social media, it wasn't a selfie. It wasn't nostalgia. It wasn't even subtle. It was a single, cutting line. Loyalty doesn't mean silence. And it hurts worse when it comes from people you trusted. That was the match. Speculation exploded. Comment sections became investigation hubs. Was she fired? Was she replaced? Was she paid off to stay silent? Insiders began whispering about a confidential settlement, a quiet payout meant to ensure Bella never spoke publicly. One source claimed HBO had already brought in a crisis PR firm to control the narrative. Another claimed Bella's team wasn't even allowed to ask questions. The message was clear: walk away quietly, or be walked over. And as the fan theories gained traction, HBO did nothing to stop them. No statements, no clarifications, no defense, just cold, strategic silence. The same studio that once paraded Bella as the fearless heart of their biggest hit now ghosted her entirely. And the message that sent to the industry was chilling. Because in Hollywood, getting fired is bad. But being erased, that's worse. No closure, no farewell, just a black hole where your career used to be. And while Bella faded into silence, someone else was quietly being positioned to take her place. Because behind the scenes, HBO wasn't trying to fix the story. They were rewriting it. HBO wasn't just moving on. They were rewriting it from scratch. While fans begged for answers, while Bella Ramsey vanished from public view, HBO had already made its choice. No apology, no farewell, no transition plan. Just something far colder, a total reboot. In early 2025, deep inside a locked-door executive summit, HBO's top decision-makers gathered. No press, no live stream, no leaks. Just one urgent agenda item: what do we do now? The answer came quickly: shut it down. No part 3, no Bella, no continuation. The story fans expected, dead on arrival. But rather than letting The Last of Us fade quietly, HBO chose reinvention. Not a sequel, not a time jump, a clean slate. New tone, new direction, new Ellie. And at the canter of this reboot, not just a backup plan, but the plan all along: Rachel Ziegler. Executives wanted an Ellie who was older, darker, more scarred. A survivor shaped by brutality, not innocence. Bella's version, soft-spoken, introspective, emotionally vulnerable, no longer fit. So they didn't just write her out. They erased her. From pitch decks, from internal documents, from storyboard art. No call to Bella's team. No explanation. Just silence. Concept art once bearing her face, redrawn. Dialogues written in her voice, rewritten. The Ellie she gave life to, deleted. And the most brutal part: Neil Druckmann, the creator who once championed her with unwavering praise, said nothing. No tweet, no tribute, no thank you. In the end, Bella wasn't just removed. She was replaced before she even knew it. As Bella faded from the spotlight, Rachel Ziegler quietly rose behind the scenes. At first, it was barely noticeable: a few fan edits on Taika, speculative tweets pairing her past performances with Ellie's dialogue from the game. Then came the leaks. A concept deck, quickly pulled offline, showed Ellie walking through a frozen wasteland. Older, tougher, unrecognizable. And under that hood, Ziegler. Suddenly, what fans had dismissed as fantasy began to look very real. Viral posts labeled Rachel Ziegler as the new Ellie. YouTubers rushed to create side-by-side edits. Her emotional moments in West Side Story and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes layered over Ellie's most iconic monologues. The resemblance wasn't perfect, but it was compelling. And HBO, they didn't deny it. Not publicly, not privately, because by then, it was already a done deal. Internally, Rachel's name had been locked into reboot materials. Early scripts were being rewritten to match her tone. Her schedule was cleared. And while the internet debated Bella's mysterious disappearance, Rachel Ziegler was already being groomed to become the face of a relaunch, polished, press-ready.